Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 9. My name is Uyai Aniekan. Let's take a look at the major stories. Federal government delists new owners of Ugeli power plant from routine monitoring. Akwa Ibom State Governor Udo Emmanuel inaugurates Ultra Medin Asani Bibio Complex. Plus, France Macron commemorates the end of World War II in Europe. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good evening and thanks for joining us. First in the news tonight is a report that the federal government has presented a certificate of discharge to Transcorp Power Limited on its completion of the acquisition of the Ugeli power plant in Delta. The presentation of the certificate was done at the meeting of the National Council on Privatization (NCP), presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo today at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises (BPE), Alex Oko, signed on behalf of the federal government, while Tonu Elumelu, the chairman of Transcorp Group, signed on behalf of Transcorp Power Limited. The certificate of discharge, the Vice President said that NCP was pleased with the performance of Transcorp Power, as the certificate meant that the firm had been delisted from routine monitoring. Meanwhile, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has disclosed the government's plan to provide additional affordable housing units for Nigerians through its investment in a Pan-African finance institution, Shelter Afrique. The minister stated that with a contribution of $22.5 million and a shareholding for its citizens. Fashola said this in his opening remarks during the 42nd Annual General Meeting and Symposium of Shelter Afrique, themed Political Economy in the Built Environment, held in Abuja. In the meantime, the federal government has said all Nigerians fleeing the insurrection in disaster management and social development. Nasir Sani Gwazo stated this when he received another batch of Nigerian evacuees at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja. "834 Nigerian evacuees from Egypt and Port Sudan arrived at "834 Nigerian evacuees have been brought in from Egypt and Port Sudan and have arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, bringing them to 1,471, the number of Nigerians so far evacuated and brought back to Nigeria from Egypt and Port Sudan in 5 days. He said the first batch comprising 282 evacuees, second batch 94 evacuees, third batch comprising 130 evacuees, fourth batch 131 evacuees, while the fifth border, adding that those in Port Sudan would all be evacuated in a few days. In a related development, 129 Nigerians fleeing war-torn Sudan arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja today. This was disclosed in a statement by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission via its Twitter handle. According to reports, the 129 evacuees are the 8th barge, bringing to a total of 1,600 evacuees so far. In politics, the National Working Committee (NWC) of the All Progressives Congress (APC) has anointed former Governor of Akwa Ibom State Senator Godswill Akpabio as the Senate President of the 10th Assembly, while Tajuddin Abbas from Kaduna State has also been named as the Speaker of the House. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Felix Morka, disclosed this while briefing journalists at the end of the NEC meeting held today at the National Secretariat of the party in Abuja. Away from that, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal in Abuja, the nation's capital, has adjourned its sitting to Tuesday. It also adjourned for the continuation of pre-hearing proceedings till Wednesday for the Abubakar's petition and Allied People's Movement in its schedule. Recall that the tribunal had commenced pre-hearing of the petitions challenging the outcome of the February 25 presidential election. In a related developments, the Action Alliance AA has withdrawn the petition it filed against the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. The party today, through its team of lawyers led by Oba Madubuchi San, applied to discontinue further proceedings in the matter shortly after the Presidential Election Petition Court (PEPC) kick-started its pre-hearing session. Oba San told the court that the petitioners filed a withdrawal notice on May 3rd. Meanwhile, following a no-objection stance by all the respondents in the matter, the Justice Haruna that the President-elect Bola Tinubu, Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima, and 28 incoming governors must declare their assets before May 29. It said other officials, including senators-elect and reps-elect, are expected to declare their assets before June 5, when they would be sworn in. The CCB spokesperson Veronica Kato told newsmen in Abuja that assets declaration was an integral part of the swearing-in ceremony. According to the law, she disclosed that several elected officials had started picking their assets declaration forms at the CCB state offices nationwide and that they were expected to submit the filled copies to the Bureau before the inauguration day. According to her, failure to declare their assets as required under the provisions of the Federal Constitution attracts conviction, removal from office, disqualification from holding any. In another development, Kenyan President William Ruto has congratulated the President-elect Bola Tinubu on his victory at the February 25 presidential poll, saying he looks forward to working with him. A statement by Tinubu's media said the congratulatory message was contained in a personal letter delivered to the President-elect by the special envoy sent by Ruto to discuss areas of mutual interest between Nigeria and the East African country. Among other things, the Kenyan leader offered to work with Tinubu to consolidate the long-standing relationship between both countries. In his response, the president-elect expressed his desire to work with the Kenyan president and other African leaders to champion issues of mutual interest, especially in the areas of economic growth, development, and tackling insecurity, in line with his agenda for the Nigerian people. On judicial matters, the Supreme Court has fixed May 9 for judgment in the appeal filed by former Osun State Governor Gboyega Oyetola against the election of Ademola Adeleke. In his appeal, Oyetola is seeking the reversal of the March 25 judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which affirmed Adeleke's victory in the last governorship election in Osun State. A five-member panel of the Supreme Court announced the date after taking arguments from lawyers to parties today. Recall that the appeal court had in its judgment set aside an earlier judgment by the Osun Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which held in favor of Oyetola and removed Ademola Adeleke. In the meantime, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria (NICN) sitting in Benin City, Edo State capital, has declared that the June 8, 2022 directive of the state government suspending trade unions' activities in tertiary institutions in the state as unconstitutional, illegal, null and void. Delivering judgment, Justice A.A. Adewimomo ruled that the state government was wrong to have suspended trade union activities in the AAU and other tertiary institutions in the state. Recall that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Ambrose Ali University chapter, had approached the NICN through its lawyer Kingsley Obamogie in a suit to challenge the directive of Governor Godwin Obaseki suspending all unions in the state tertiary institutions. The suit had the ASU chairman, AAU chapter Dr. Cyril Onobosele, and Assistant Secretary William Odion as claimants, while Obaseki, the state attorney general, and the Edo state government were the defendants. In a separate development, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERAP) has filed a contempt suit against the federal government for allegedly failing to respond in a statement by its deputy director, Kolawole Oluwadare, recalling how Justice Oguntoyinbo of the Federal High Court, Lagos, ordered the federal government in November of 2019 to recover life pensions collected by former governors serving as ministers and members of the National Assembly. Justice Oguntoyinbo also directed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami to challenge the legality of state life pension laws permitting former governors and other ex-public officials to collect such pensions. The rights group regretted that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has failed to implement the judgment. Justice Oguntoyinbo, who retired from the bench last month, expressed regret during a valedictory court session held in her honor at the judgment has not been implemented. In a separate development, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) Abia State has concluded plans to resume the indefinite strike it suspended in the state 2 months ago. The Emma Alozie organized labor said its indefinite strike, which was suspended earlier the year. The NLC said the first strike was unanimously agreed on by labor leaders at the end of their meeting last week. He mandated all industrial unions, including those in the local government areas, to withdraw their services to the Abia state government after midnight of today. May one citizen of Akwa Ibom State, Nodom Emmanuel, today commissioned an ultra-modern Asani Bibio complex. Inaugurating the project, the governor thanked the people for the support throughout his tenure in government and reiterated that the project is in fulfillment of his pledge. A correspondent has the details.
Inaugurating the Asani Bibio located at Ikoto Creek Corner in your local government area, Governor Dom Emmanuel called for maintenance of the complex, which he hoped will serve as a rallying point for all Akwa Ibom people, irrespective of their ethnic backgrounds. According to him, the project was a fulfillment of his promises to the people and to bequeath the traditional institution the respect it deserves.
The ruling party, the elders of Ibibio Nation, the elders of Akwa Ibom State, the leaders of Akwa Ibom State, the stakeholders worldwide. We commissioned Asan Ibibio complex today for the huge infrastructure like this. In the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. So I want to thank and also believe that this place will be well maintained. And I want to believe Kestani Bibio, if coming from this complex, will stand the test of time with the quality of maintenance. But today, to fulfill that words of Jesus Christ in Matthew 8:20, Ibibio, nation, a commission today, the Asan Ibibio. All of us put together have what we call Akwa Ibom State today. So when we are talking about Ibibio, it's a symbol of unity of the entire Akwa Ibom people, and even some across the river. So let no man make mistake and think Ibibio is just that cluster.
Earlier in his address, Doku Ibom Ibibio and chairman of Akwa Ibom State Traditional Rulers Council, Ntenyin Solomon Ituk, had commended Governor Emmanuel for the honor done to the traditional institution and prayed God to bless and honor Governor Emmanuel.
Your Excellency, the Governor, I even form me them more than a magistrate here, you get them. Anna, I did your upper body a carame. I get up a move for us a day, up a crowd from up right there, a fresh unity review. Every yapper on room. Ndamike fresh unity review. I'm in both on room.
Also speaking, the State Commissioner for Works and Fire Service, Professor Noibanga, gave an overview of the project and commended Governor Emmanuel for seeing to the realization of the project.
Your Excellency, this edifice of Ibibio land in Asan Ibibio is the largest auditorium anywhere in Akwa Ibom State. It has a capacity of 2,500 seated with 3 galleries inside. This edifice has 7 offices: the Intison's office, secretary office, and a special conference room. This edifice is such that anybody we can take care of the population, because we have 25 toilets, 14 on the ground floor and 11 upstairs. Your Excellency, you are a man of your promise. You are a man that thinks Sani Bibio is here and is guaranteed 100 years minimum in terms of everything.
The ceremony, which attracted different Ibibio social cultural groups and other ethnic groups with a wide array of different traditional dance troupes, also witnessed goodwill messages from the people who all commended Governor Emmanuel for his result-oriented leadership style.
Still to come in the news. CBN delays approval for Unity Bank. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. We move to Africa, where the First Lady of Burundi, Angelina Ndashimie, has been elected the 10th President of Africa First Ladies Peace Mission, AFLPM, in Abuja today. This was disclosed in a communique read by Victoria Ogala, the Special Assistant to the outgoing President of AFLPM, Aisha Buhari. Ogala disclosed the election was conducted during a closed-door session of the 10th General Assembly Summit of the mission in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. She said Ndayishimiye was elected alongside the First Lady of Niger Republic, Khadija Bazoum, reportedly crossed the border into Ethiopia. Reports say the situation came as gun battles and airstrikes flared in Khartoum, Sudan's capital, which has been rocked by 4 weeks of fighting, despite the latest ceasefire efforts backed by Saudi Arabia and the United States. According to reports, multiple truce deals have been declared and quickly violated since fighting erupted between army and paramilitary forces. In a related development, airstrikes again shook Sudan's capital today, while the latest truce talks in Jeddah have yielded no progress, with a Saudi diplomat saying both sides consider themselves capable of winning the battle. Sudan was thrown into deadly chaos when fighting broke out on April 15 between the forces of Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy-turned-rival Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who heads the paramilitary rapid. There are shortages of water, food and basic supplies. Meanwhile, the feuding generals have sent representatives to Saudi Arabia for talks on establishing a humanitarian truce in an effort also backed by the United States, but to no avail so far. In the meantime, Botswana was hit by a nationwide electricity blackout shortly after midnight following a grid disturbance. Botswana Power Corporation (BPC) said it was investigating the cause of the grid disturbance. According to reports, it led to an outage at two power plants and transmission power line that connects the country to neighboring South Africa. Meanwhile, load shedding, meaning rotating power cuts, has been introduced in the meantime. Elsewhere, an official of Ethiopia's ruling Prosperity Party, PP. Now, according to reports, the official was killed while on his way from Adama, a city in the Oromia region, to Awash town in Afar. It blamed unnamed terrorists for killing. It will be recalled that on the 27th of April, the PP head of Amhara, Gemer Yasila, was killed in an ambush. Meanwhile, a day of national mourning is being held in Democratic Republic of Congo, where more than 400 bodies are under mud that covered two villages in Kelly district. Some bodies were found in nearby Lake Kivu. Meanwhile, a government delegation from the capital Kinshasa has been sent to the area 4 days after the floods and landslides hit. The Congolese doctor and Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege has criticized the fact that the victims were buried in mass graves. He has called for more dignified burials. In the meantime, Southern African countries have agreed to deploy forces to block Southern African Development Community, which includes South Africa, Angola, and Tanzania, backed the deployments to restore peace and security in Eastern DRC. SADC said in a statement from the Namibian capital, Windhoek. Reports say the decision was reached at talks attended by several heads of state, including DRC's Felix Tshisekedi, his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa, Tanzania's Samia Suluhu Hassan, and ministers from the regional group. Meanwhile, the meeting did not give the number of troops to have been deployed nor a timeline for the deployment. Still in Africa, autopsies on government pathologists said some of the victims died of starvation, strangulation, and suffocation. Kenyan police are expected to dig up more graves in search of victims of the cult, whose leader, Pastor Paul Mackenzie, allegedly encouraged them to fast to death in order to go to heaven. Reports say Mackenzie is in police custody pending investigation. The Kenyan Red Cross said that 360 people had been reported missing, while the authorities say at least 60 others have been rescued alive. Meanwhile, President William Ruto has formed a commission of inquiry to investigate the deaths of the followers of the Christian cult. Elsewhere, a journalist, Anye Nde Nso, has been shot dead in the troubled northwest of Cameroon. It is the third killing of a journalist in the country this year. Reports said Nsor was in a bar in Bermuda when unidentified gunmen opened fire. He worked for a weekly newspaper, The Advocate. Bermuda is one of the areas worst affected by several years of conflict involving English-speaking sectionalists. On the foreign scene, China issued a sharply worded warning to the European Union (EU) today and its companies in the next EU sanctions package. The companies have allegedly supplied Russia with products that can be used in weapons by the Russian military. Reports say representatives from the EU's 27 member countries are scheduled to discuss the sanctions proposals on Wednesday in Brussels. Still on the foreign scene, the European Union said today it was cancelling its Europe Day reception in Tel Aviv after the extremist Israeli minister representing the government stood firm in his intention to participate. In a statement, the EU delegation to Israel said it would still celebrate Europe Day on Tuesday, but regretted that this year they have decided to cancel the diplomatic reception as they do not want to offer a platform to someone whose views contradict the values the European Union stands for. It would be recalled that reports began emerging in Israeli media on Sunday about the EU's discontent over national security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's being in the government. Representative to the Tel Aviv reception, meanwhile, Israeli government officials confirmed today that Ben-Gvir was designated by the government to attend the EU event. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron led the traditional ceremony on Paris' Champs-Élysées today, commemorating the day that marked the end of World War II in Europe in 1945. Flanked by Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne, Macron laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier under the Arc de Triomphe monument. A brass band played the Marseillaise. Meanwhile, to limit disruptions amid ongoing opposition to Macron and his contested pension reforms, police banned gatherings around the area of the ceremony in the French capital, and in Lyon, where the president's wires prompted fresh evacuation orders as authorities registered over 100 active blazes. According to reports, around 30,000 people have been told to leave their homes in Alberta, where more than 24 fires have not yet been brought under control. Christy Tucker, a spokesperson with Alberta's Wildfire Agency, said that light scattered showers in the southern part of the province on Sunday allowed firefighters to approach previously unreachable areas due to. Meanwhile, the Paris police force and France's interior minister faced questions and criticism today over why a march of around 600 neo-Nazis through the streets of the capital was authorized at the weekend. The rally, Saturday by far-right extremists dressed in black, came as authorities clamped down on protesters banging saucepans against the government, with new restrictions put in place today to shield President Emmanuel Macron from the noise. According to reports, the march on Saturday through an upmarket left-bank district of Paris sees several hundred of men from far-right groups march with flags and chant slogans to commemorate the death of a far-right activist Sébastien Dezieux in 1994. Meanwhile, the protest was authorized by city authorities and police could be seen patrolling nearby. In the meantime, Ukrainian Mayor Vitaly Klitschko says air raid sirens have sounded across the country after Russia launched a fresh wave of missile and drone strikes on cities around the country. According to the city's mayor, explosions were heard in Ukraine's capital Kyiv, where 5 people have been reportedly injured by falling debris from downed drones hitting 4 cities. Reports say it is the fourth attack on Kyiv in 8 days and comes just 24 hours before Russia celebrates its Victory Day. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian military said the raids, which lasted more than 4 hours, saw 16 missiles fired at targets across the country. Still on the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has compared Russia to Nazi Germany as he proposed moving World War II Victory Day celebrations a day earlier to May 8 in a bill presented to lawmakers in Kyiv. Zelensky said Ukraine traditionally commemorates victory over the Nazis on May 9, but that date has become increasingly associated with a parade in Moscow used by the Kremlin to flex its military might. According to him, it is on May 8 that most nations of the world remember the greatness of the victory over the Nazis. Still to come in the news, Alcaraz surges to lead of live race. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. We move straight ahead to Blyden Nakim, who will bring us our business stories.
Thank you, Uyai Aniekan. Good evening. It's another business week. My name is Blyden Okem. In the news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has still not approved the 2022 annual financial statements of Unity Bank and First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, and the lenders have been unable to finalize the earnings reports. While the financial regulator has since approved the financials of 10 other commercial banks, Unity Bank informed shareholders the timeframe for the publication of annual financial statements as required by the Capital Market Authority, Nigerian Exchange Limited, NGX. The delay could result in fines against Unity Bank and First Bank. Still in Nigeria, the Dangote refinery, established by Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, is scheduled to be inaugurated on May 22nd. According to Presidential aide Bashir Ahmed, the inauguration will be done by President Muhammadu Buhari. In a tweet on his handle, Ahmed said, efforts by the federal government to make Nigeria self-sufficient in local refining of crude oil to save the scarce foreign exchange used in the importation of petroleum products have been received a boost, as the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery is set for inauguration. The refinery is the biggest in Africa and also the biggest single-train refinery in the world. Nigeria's borrowing from the World Bank has reached $14.34 billion as of March 31, 2023. This was an increase from the $13.93 billion and its debt recorded by the Debt Management Office as of December 31, 2022. This means that fresh disbursements on approved loans added $410 million to Nigeria's debt from the World Bank in the first quarter of 2023. The first World Bank loan was acquired in the fiscal year of 1947, according to data from the World Bank. Since that period, Nigeria has acquired a total of $7.49 billion from IBRD and $26.17 billion from IDA. It's time for the Nigerian stock market report. The stock market returns this week with the bulls dominating proceedings. A total of 511.384 million benchmark All-Share Index inched up 114.21 basis points to close at 52,579.52 points. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 28.6 trillion naira. In aggregate, 102 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 29 gainers and 17 losers. Multiverse Mining and Exploration led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 3 naira 41 kobo per share. On the losing side, C&I Leasing came out last with an end-of-day price appreciation of 9.8% at 3 naira 59 kobo per share. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of 168 million traded shares. This is all on business.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC, Ifedayo Adetifa, has said the threat of the COVID-19 virus remains within nations across the globe, particularly for high-risk groups. Adetifa said this in a statement released by the agency following the announcement by the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, that COVID-19 was no longer a public health emergency, and that the Commission, the NCDC boss, who made the declaration, was here to help the country transition from acute emergency response to managing COVID-19 as part of the integrated health care delivery for all infectious diseases. He noted that Nigeria had already de-escalated its COVID-19 response since 2022, adding that its focus is on encouraging COVID-19 vaccination and recommended discretionary use of face masks and other public health safety measures. Still in health, a hermatologist and the Secretary General of the Nigeria Cancer Society, Dr. Sela Yuguda, has said cancer care can only be effective when all professionals involved in the treatment work together. Uguda stated this at a cancer summit held in Lagos, stating that doctors, nurses, psychiatrists of medicine, University of Nigeria, and Nsukka, Professor Ifeoma Okoye, in her submission, said research has shown that the three most common cancers in Nigeria are prostate, cervical, and breast cancers. Over now to Isaac for trending sports stories.
Well, thank you very much, Uyai. In sports, Carlos Alcaraz took the lead in the Pepperstone ATP Live Race in Turin on Sunday by winning the Mutua Madrid Open. It's the first time this season the Spaniard has led the live race. He's 20 in Madrid, passed both Dani Medvedev and Novak Djokovic to surge into the top spot. He owns a 110-point advantage over Medvedev, leading into the Internazionale BNL d'Italia, the season's fifth ATP Masters 1000 event. The live race serves as the year-to-date standings and the barometer for the battle to finish as the year-end ATP #1, presented by Pepperstone. Last year, the then 19-year-old Alcaraz became the youngest year-end #1 in history. The live race also determines the qualifiers for the NATO ATP Finals, which will be held in Turin at the Pala Altiporto from 12th to 19th of November this year. After Rome, Alcaraz is also poised to return to world #1 in the ATP rankings, which accounts for the player's result over the past 52 weeks. When the Internazionale BNL d'Italia draw is released, Alcaraz will lead Novak by 995 points in the ATP Live rankings. By playing in his first match, he will earn at least 10 points, guaranteeing his return to world #1. Still talking about tennis, Andy Murray won his first title in nearly 4 years by beating Tommy Paul in the final of the ATP Challenger event at the Axiom Province. Briton Murray, who is 35, came back from a set down against American top seed Paul to win 2-6, 6-1, 6-2. It is the three-time Grand Slam champion's first title since winning in Antwerp in 2019 and his first on clay since 2016 in Rome. It's the first title at the second-tier challenger level since 2005. 15th, Murray took a late wildcard entry into the tournament to get more clear-cut match time before the French Open, following first-round exits from Monte Carlo and Madrid in April. Victory means Murray will rise to 42 in the world, and when the rankings updated later today, his highest world rankings since May 2018. The French Open, the second Grand Slam of the year, starts on the 28th of May, with Murray aiming to play in it for only the second time since 2017. We're talking about football. Burnley gave manager Vincent Kompany a new 5-year deal on Sunday as a reward for leading the club back to the Premier League in style. The former Manchester City defender won the championship title with ease in his first season at Burnley after he replaced Sean Dyche, and his success has attracted the interest of Premier League clubs such as Chelsea and Tottenham. But the 37-year-old Belgian has committed his future to the Claret until 2028. Kompany replaced Dyche last summer after Burnley were relegated to the Championship. And finally, let's talk about the stories from the Flying Eagles. Nigeria's delegation to Argentina 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup has arrived in Buenos Aires, capital of Argentina, for a 10-day camping program. Ahead of the competition, a contingent of 20 players and 10 officials departed the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to Abuja on Saturday aboard a Turkish airline flight and traveled through Istanbul before landing in the land of the Pampas. With a record of having finished with the silver medal in 1989 and 2005 and with the bronze medals, Nigeria has been slotted in Group D for this year's championship and will play Dominican Republic, Italy, and Brazil in that order in the group phase of the competition. That's it on sports. My name is Isaac. Back to you, Yai.
Thank you, Isaac. On our entertainment news tonight, popular American rapper Aubrey Drake Graham, also known as Drake, has claimed he may be Nigerian following the outcome star is estimated to have a net worth of $250 million and reportedly receives $70 million yearly as returns. Sharing his dad's ancestry results on social media, Drake revealed he is 30% Nigerian. He made this disclosure in a post on his Instagram page. Meanwhile, Drake is not the first foreign superstar to claim Nigerian roots. Beyonce, Diddy, and a host of others have claimed their ancestors were from Nigeria in the past. Popularly known as DJ Maforisa, has been arrested for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend Thuli Mfolongo. It is understood that Mfolongo sustained visible injuries from the incident. According to reports, the well-known Amapiano producer was reported to the police by Mfolongo after the domestic incident which happened at her Sandtown apartment in Johannesburg. Academy. The music stars made the statement at the 2023 Milken Global Conference in Los Angeles. The artist, speaking alongside Mo Abudu, CEO of Ebony Life Group, Jake Onosinachi, among others, stressed that in addition to improving the economy, music from the continent, which include equity, participation in terms of investment and infrastructure. Lastly, in the news tonight, Nollywood actress Joke Silva has encouraged Nigerian filmmakers to take a page from Tyler Perry and invest in studios. The actress shared her thoughts on Nollywood during a youth development forum in Lagos State. According to her, the industry needs studios and sound stages in order to produce movies properly. She added that it is unacceptable to use her home as a movie set, having about 20 strangers at a time. And that's all we have for you tonight. Do us follow us. I am Uyai Anyekan. Thanks for watching, and I do hope you have a splendid night rest. Good night.